so I know you guys want to know, is it possible this 3-inch ported subwoofer from the 1980s is as powerful as a 12-inch sub? Let's find out.
Hello, guys.
We've got the smallest exhaust tip versus the biggest exhaust tip, and we're going to see if it makes a sound difference on the 7.3 Power Stroke. But first,
I just did a StreamYard stream, so I'm doing a StreamYard stream. So.
And it looks much better, guys. Let's do the exhaust sound.
You okay?
Now, everybody has been blowing up my comments saying that the alpha side sounds a lot better than the axle dump, and that the axle.
I did.
Come on now. What else?
Hello, friends. I'm Mike. I'm the wild child behind Audio Architects. For those of you who are already subscribed, it's good to see you back for more. You guys are just gluttons for punishment. If you're a first timer and you're into speaking, dude, it's hot.
Come back, criminal.
Is this thing on?
Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions.
Funding was made in-house. Hello, did you start at Mike this morning? You heard from this morning? Yes, sir. Hey guys, Rich Rebuilds here, and we are back with the Turbo Hayabusa Hybrid Swapped Volkswagen Rabbit pickup truck build. Try saying that 3 times fast. In the rear of the truck, there is a turbocharged Hayabusa engine, and up front, there's an electric motor and battery setup. And
Swear I won't forget this. Why do I regret this? In my mind, reckless. Thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up on breathless. Anxieties infect.
So if you clicked on this video thinking you were going to see something like this, the transparency of these speakers is unparalleled. The tweeter is not forward or laid back. The mids are smooth, buttery, true to the music. While it can keep up with the faster pacing of bands like Metallica, these speakers effortlessly switch gears and perform all the delicate subtleties of softer.
So I'm taking some long time and we're heading out to Target. I do have to get a bunch of essentials and I'm gonna go ahead and
slower paced music. effortless ease. These speakers are magic. Or maybe even something like this. The mid-range reminds me of my childhood. Can you hear it? I gotta tell you, this is not the channel. There are a lot of channels out there. You can find that kind of stuff all day long, but this is not it. I don't know what these speakers are going to sound like in your room, with your ears, with your amplifier, with your music. Nobody can tell you what speakers are going to sound like in your room. There's no point of trying to explain what I hear out of these speakers. You have to experience it and listen to speakers yourself. All of these speakers sound really good to me. And if you want my reason for why I picked speakers after buying, selling, and repairing a lot of speakers over the years, then stick around because this is the Ray channel. So we're fortunate at our shop that we have, it's an audio authority comparator. And what this does is it allows us to, on the fly, switch between amplifiers, speakers, that type of thing. This used to be a really common practice back in the day, you know, all the way up to the 90s when you go to a big box store and you could sit there and select which you want to listen to with what amplifier you want to listen to. And that's why we bought this. This one was supposedly came out of a Macintosh dealer in Kansas City. And we'll do a video on that comparator here at some point, but the beauty of that comparator is not only do I get my impression of what I hear when I'm several sets of speakers that work, see what the customer chooses and why. And a lot of times we will have a similar experience when it comes to A being or A, B, C, maybe even D'ing several sets of speakers. And it doesn't mean that, you know, the customers are always making the purchase off of sound. There's a lot of other things that go into that equation, from size to aesthetics to budget, and that's just a few. Sound is definitely in there, but if we all bought speakers strictly on the sound, and we didn't care about how they looked or how big they were, it'd be a completely different world out there when it comes to speaker manufacturing, and that's not what it is. The funny thing is, after they were several years of using that comparator when it comes to allowing customers to pick between speakers and audition several sets of speakers,
I think I
I
remember
can
your
always
channel.
look at the speakers that we have for sale at
I
any given
keep
time
forgetting certain things.
and get a good idea of what's going to sell the quickest, what's going to A/B well against another one. And sometimes, if I have too many speakers or more speakers than I have room to showcase, I will try and pair speakers, knowing that
Good.
one speaker is going to beat out another one. As in, if I need to sell a specific speaker, I can put it up against some not so good speakers and move that speaker out the door so I can get something else on the floor. You don't want to put all of your A pieces out there at once. I would rather give a customer some real good comparisons. This is why this one sounds better rather than these all kind of sound the same. So another thing, I am definitely a speaker junkie. I definitely feel that the biggest changes you can make in your audio system come from speakers. I can swap out turntables. I don't hear a big difference. I can swap out receivers and amplifiers. I don't hear a big difference. I can use that comparator at the shop and show people that these pretty much, within reason, kind of sound the same. As soon as we start selecting speakers, they are all completely different. So, for me, the fun and the enjoyment is swapping out speakers, not swapping out amplifiers. To me, it's almost boring. But I do like rotating my
Scourge looked at the wolf with a growl, taking
to move on from speakers I had been listening to and grab a new set because I do feel
Scourge felt the fur along his back prick, and he slowly started to turn around to face the two strange figures.
I might prefer
He didn't
this type
speak
of
for a few
music on
seconds as he
or
stared at the
another
two with
favorite
narrowed
that
eyes.
type of music on. And so it kind of dictates what I'm going to listen to, and it's a good way to kind of rotate through my music. Now, the interesting thing with bookshelf speakers, you know, and I wanted to go through and I wanted to do early vintage, but
Scourge paused for a second and then spoke, his voice eerily calm.
Maybe
Maybe?
not really that popular. I mean, there are a few models out there, but not like there are now. And I think the subwoofer really changed that. You know, it allowed you to get smaller speakers and still get your bass. And even though they had subwoofers in the 70s, they were nowhere near as popular as they are now, not even by a long shot. So there's kind of a inflection point, I think is what it's called, where there weren't very many bookshelves in the 70s. And then once the subwoofers started coming into play, more bookshelves sold, large speakers, you know, they stopped manufacturing as many because, once again, you were able to get that large sound that you could with 2 big box speakers out of a subwoofer and 2 smaller speakers. I think that's the reason why they didn't make a lot of them in the 70s, and you see more of them now. However, in the 80s, the smaller bookshelf did become more popular. So for this list, we're going to use speakers from the 70s and 80s. So the cutoff will be 1990. And then one criteria we had is I went through eBay and made sure I could find these speakers for under $200, including shipping. And everything on the list I found for under $200. All right, now we're done with that. Let's get on to the list. And I'm not going to order these. We're not going to. These are just the speakers that if I see them out on the floor and a customer's coming in to buy bookshelves, these are the ones that sell the fastest. They're the ones that the customers pick the most out of
nowhere. A laugh is heard from the other side of the dark locker room.
So, there you go. So my first speaker is probably the most controversial speaker on the list.
The lights start to flicker on again. Only this time I'm now standing behind you.
That is ridiculous to not judge the fact that this speaker is on the list, and it is a Bose. It is a 301, and I'm mainly referring to the Series 2. With the Bose 301 and Series 2, the one thing you do have to make sure is that your room is correct for it. These don't go in every room well. They don't go in every situation.
Boo.
Those are always kind of situational. If I have a basement,
there's a moment of silence as I stare at you, before my face breaks out into a wide grin.
I didn't have a focal point that I was going to sit in front of and have these things, you know, at the Golden Triangle rule, and maybe at a bar, people were talking, perfect. And you can get them for under a couple $100. But I do like the aesthetics of these. I do. I think the Series 2 are the better looking ones in the group. I'm going to hit you with some specs now. We've got 2 3-inch tweeters. We've got an 8-inch woofer. These are 8 ohm. They're ported. They are 10 inches by 17 inches by 9 inches. 35 hertz to 20 kilohertz. And they're from the early 80s. Some of these pretty easy to find at local sales, garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores. I've found plenty of pairs locally. No need to ship these. There's a lot of them out there. And that's why I wanted to include it. There are a ton of those 301s out there. So enough people like them to buy them. Don't knock them.
I have a sinister grin on.
All right, next we got the JBL Model J.
I tap you on the shoulder.
This is an 8 ohm speaker.
I suddenly start to laugh at your fear.
Efficient. We've got a 6.
What's the matter? Afraid?
We've got
a sly smirk on.
This cabinet.
I slowly begin to circle you as I look you up and down.
10 by 9 1/4 inches deep, and we've got a 1-inch soft dome tweeter. Weighs about 17 pounds, and it was released in the early 80s. Another great.
I chuckle before whispering in your ear.
JBL's greatest offering.
How's it going? I say with a smirk on my face.
$200. This is about
Boo.
as good as you get from vintage JBL. They're definitely
Lily is on a nearby table, watching.
Like the 2600 and the 2500, which had,
as you jump and turn around, you see me holding Lily in my hand.
So those are definitely not one of my favorite JBLs, but the Model J216.
There's a devilish look in my eyes as I stare at you.
I think they're really nice and punchy. And the next one on the list is an EPI Model 70.
I move closer and closer to you, slowly.
79, which is
hello, I say in a creepy voice.
Of the group. They do look more vintagey, so that's nice. If you're trying to have a
my face is just a couple inches from yours, a wicked smile on my lips.
Old Spice Genuine Super Hydration Body Wash with 24/7 moisturization and vitamin B3.
They're 60 hertz to 20 kilohertz. They're 16 by 11 by 7 inches. Next on the list, we've got the Polk Model 4. And this is an 8 ohm speaker, 91 dB efficient. We're looking at 35 hertz to 25 kilohertz. It's got a 6.5-inch woofer.
What are you doing?
It's ported, weighs 12 pounds.
Oh, getting pickles.
By 9 by 8 inches. It was built between 1982 and 1995.
I begin to circle around.
Great. Just balance.
I'm standing there silent, just staring at
The
you.
last two are my two favorites on the list. So once again, these aren't in order, but I do want to say these are definitely.
I just continue to stare at you as you grab the book.
I'm gonna use one there. Actually, there.
And this one is a Boston A40. This speaker is 88 dB efficient. It's 8 ohms. It's got a 3/4 soft dome tier, a 6.5-inch woofer. It measures from 68 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and it was built in the mid-'80s. This one probably isn't going to win any beauty awards. It's probably the most boring of the look of these speakers. However, this thing sounds incredible, and a lot of times people will pick it over maybe a better looking speaker because it does sound.
Oh, hell no! Oh, hell yeah! Yeah! Oh, yeah!
The best-selling speaker that Scott Labs hands down. We sell.
There you go. There you go.
It's really different.
Yeah. Get that other hat. Get that other hat. All right.
So there's a reason those sell so well. They sound good. They've got a good look to them, and that's the Baby Atman. So I got one honorable mention, and this is mainly because I know the fandom that is out there for the Minimus 7s. There's a whole group of people that love these speakers, and I agree. They're really robust.
One of them
especially
just
for a
starts
small
repeating
speaker. The
run
casing, you know,
over and over.
they're built like a brick. However, literally have a graveyard of these speakers that I've picked up over the years, and they either have a bad tweeter or a bad woofer, and it seems like every other pair I get, I never get a working pair.
The lights flicker,
So,
and you hear a different
I get
voice
it.
from a
They're made well. You can use them inside. You can use them outside. The bass on them is, they say
Suddenly,
they're rated
a
to like 70 or 60. I don't see that.
all
at
the Funhouse characters start speaking at once. Welcome to the Funhouse.
There's hardly any bass. They are very accurate, but besides them being so stout physically,
Suddenly, a voice that could make blood run cold whispers behind you. Yowie wowie! All the Funhouse characters start speaking at once. Welcome to the Funhouse. You hear whispers around you. One of the Funhouse.
Hi guys, I'm in Corey's, my local.
We were missing you. You hear the voice of Rambling Rabbit come from the corner of the room. She means business. Watch yourself.
We're not.
There are no.
You hear the voice of Rambling Rabbit come from the corner of the room. She means business. Watch yourself.
Hey, everybody.
I've been wanting to make this.
Hey, it's Jasper, and today we're talking about powered bullying.
You hear the voice of Mercy the Buzzard coming from another corner. Yeah, she's dangerous. You better be. The voice of Huskus the pig comes next. Heh, she's got you right where she wants you. Sister Abigail's voice comes from the other corner of the room. Shez coming for you. The voice of Huskus the pig boy can be heard. If I were you, I'd back away slowly. You hear Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. There's a pause before the voice of Huskus chimes in. Don't let her get you. My eyes remain fixed on you, the wicked smile never leaving my face. You hear the voices of Mercy the Buzzard and Huskus. Mercy the Buzzard's voice is heard from behind. This time, it's Mercy the Buzzard, talking in a quiet, sinister voice. She wants to play.
Stick the spacer on.
The room is silent again, other than the sound. I tilt my head to the side, still smiling. What's wrong? The voices of all the Funhouse characters laugh in unison. She wants to play whether you want to or not.
Today we're going to be building the.
All because I liked a boy and all this for what? This girl wants to go so fast.
The 71 Panther has always held a special place in my heart. When I was 5,
I smile maliciously as I step even closer to you, practically right in your face. I take a couple more steps closer to you, now only a few inches away from you. Oh, yes, you are.
Chevy, Ford, and Ram have been scripted.
The voices of every Funhouse character begin to laugh. The voices of all the Funhouse characters start talking all at once now, their creepy laughs echoing in your head. All the voices start talking at once, all echoing the same thing. You're gonna play? You don't have a choice? All the voices of the Fiend's Funhouse characters start speaking at the same time. There's no avoiding, no escape, no mercy for you. The lights in the locker room suddenly go back off, and when they come back on, my face is right next to yours. My eyes fixed on you.
Today on Muscle Car, the guys.
As you run backwards, you suddenly hit a wall, causing you to be trapped between me. My smirk returns, watching as you try to get away.
Build something that GM has never made. A regular cab, short bed, diesel truck. So if you
I walk at a slow pace after you, enjoying. I chuckle, watching you run out the locker room and into another room and shut the door. You think. My smirk turns into a frown, watching as you escape into the other room.
Started out as a pretty nice straight car. He had other plans.
I was in my locker room working on some stuff. I'm in the middle of talking to Tegan when the locker room door suddenly slams open. My eyes widen and my head snaps towards the door, and I see you run in, and you look even more shaken than you. I was in my locker room again. I was in the middle of getting changed in my locker room when the door suddenly slammed open loudly. I look over and my eyes wide. I was just sitting in my locker room trying to rest after a match until suddenly the door is slammed open and you go running in. I instantly sit up looking stunned. Whoa, what's wrong? I was doing some routine stretches in the training room when the door bursts open and you run in looking even more traumatized than last time. I am once again in my locker room when I hear you burst into the room. I quickly get up and rush over to you and I take in how traumatized you look. Whoa, hey, I was in the gym working out my upper body when I heard the door slam open again. I looked up to see that it was you again, and you looked even more shaken and traumatized than before. And I was sitting in my locker room when I suddenly hear a door slam and you run in looking like a complete mess. I stand up immediately. Whoa, 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 what's wrong this time? I look even more worried and step towards you, putting my... Alexa again, I raise an eyebrow. I immediately noticed that you were more traumatized than... Let me guess, she pulled another one of her creepy pranks on you. My eyes widen as you say that, then it hits me. My eyes widen. Wait, what? I immediately approach you with a concerned look on my face. What happened this time?
So we made our way back to our friend Monty Lloyd's collection of classic Ford work trucks. And if you remember, he's the guy that's these trucks since they were used for work trucks. Now, one minor detail, it didn't have an engine, but that's okay. The system's a gas burner, and we want a diesel. All the other systems are ran by engine. Southern truck. I think the interior, almost smelling the tail, was in pretty good shape. Everything there, well, other trucks from support's in good shape. Battery box is interesting. See anything else in there? Just mulch. Mulch. Next, we wanted to double check our research. We've got
About 110, 110 and a half.
110 and a half?
Yeah.
What you got for clear?
154 and a half-ish, right to the center of the hub.
Don't remember that.
Now, we are really seeing some potential with this carcass, because you got to realize, this rust, well, it's only on the surface. This is the original paint. This is a really solid foundation to start on.
Now, we know it's going to be a bunch of hard work, but the fact that we found a mid-70s crew cab, well, it should make a really unique tow ring. Now, we know a lot of you guys out there are stuffing later model diesels down into these older trucks. We're going to do something along those lines with a slight twist. We got one more shot to make.
So we have made our way down to Certified Auto Recycling in Ardmore, Alabama. And if you remember, the door that we put on the second-gen Silverado, it came from Certified as well. Look, there's another one. And today, we're going to recycle a diesel drivetrain into our new tow ring. Certified Auto Recycling has in stock almost every single part you can imagine for just about any late model vehicle on the road today. Their sales staff knows their parts, and as well as local deliveries, they also ship internationally.
We get a lot of customers that are excited and usually
I listened to your story. My eyes progressively got wider and wider while you continued to retell the events that had just befell you. My jaw went slack and my face went...
Well, they started out as complete vehicles and were total losses won from an insurance company auction. Each vehicle is methodically and carefully dismantled.
I listened to the description of what happened, feeling more and more concerned and anxious the more you talk. God. I've been listening to your story intently, and by the time you're finished, both me and Tegan have looks of disbelief on our faces.
Duramax and Cummins and Power Stroke diesels, as well as almost any gas engine you can think of.
I try to keep myself composed, but I'm already on edge listening to the eerie voices of the Funhouse characters. Then suddenly your voice saying, "Hello," nearly sent me jumping out of my skin. What the? I take a step back, the hair on the back of my neck standing up as I feel you behind me. As I listen to you go on, I stay completely silent, unable to believe how completely unhinged Alexa is acting. My eyes widen and
manual or automatic, 2- or 4-wheel drive.
I listen to your story in disbelief as you explain everything that just happened to you. I hold a hand over my mouth as a mixture of shock and worry appears on my face. Alexa, how the hell do you keep running into her? How does she keep finding you and cornering you?
Inventory is updated on a daily basis with a wide variety of both foreign and domestic vehicles.
I rub my temples as I let out a heavy sigh. Jesus Christ, she's been doing this repeatedly to you, hasn't she?
So we did some snooping around and waded through the sea of
I rub my temples as I continue listening to your story, the look of worry continuing to stay on my face, and she's just been cornering you and scaring you. No physical contact, no